This time I'd like to call the regular Board of Commissioners meeting for September 17th to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to
to the flag,
United
United
States
States of America,
and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have roll call, please.
Commissioner McConnell.
Here.
Commissioner Baldwin.
Here.
Commissioner Heidemann. Commissioner Dunn.
Here.
Commissioner Rushing.
Here.
Commissioner Greatop. Commissioner Bohm. You have 5.
This time we'll move on to the additions, deletion, changes to the agenda. We do have an addition, which we need to move to 11N.
So moved. Done. Support McConnell.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda, the amended agenda?
I would make a motion to approve. I would make a motion to do the new agenda as presented. Support.
Second, Heidemann.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Okay, moving on to 5.
I would make a motion to approve and file the minutes of the 8/20/20 commission meeting and the 9/3/20 standing committee meeting.
Baldwin, support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. We do have a proclamation for years of service.
I would make a motion to approve the proclamation recognizing Kathleen Lamko's 42 years of service with Southeastern Michigan Council of Governments.
Baldwin, support.
Any discussion?
She's been an incredible asset to me in Fort Gratiot and now St. Clair County. She's going to be missed. Those are going to be tough shoes to fill at SEMCOG. It's just in a meeting with her today. Doesn't seem she seems happier, maybe a little bit. The countdown must be on.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Proclamation is passed. Okay, moving on to consent agenda 7.
I would make a motion to approve items 7A through 7L on the consent agenda. Support. Done.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any discussion?
Hang tight for 1 second. I had something that I wanted to ask and I'm just.
What happens when you turn 43, Greg?
Well, that's what I was concerned about. Terry, I had a question on the landfill post-closure letter of credit from North Star Bank. Is there a reason we would use North Star rather than the bank that we do the majority of our banking with now, Eastern Michigan?
When we redid all of our letters of credit, we kind of went out for bids to get the best price and consolidated them all at one bank.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
I'm good with that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. All right, moving on to reports of standing and special committees. Does anybody have anything? I could go by each name, but does anybody have anything tonight?
Nothing for me.
Nope.
I'm good.
All right, seeing none. Moving on to 9, citizens wishing to address the board. From what I understand, we do not have any tonight. So we'll move on to 10, unfinished business. We have none, so we'll move on to new business. 11A, approval of county disbursements for August 2020.
Chairman Rushing, I'm going to be reading all the motions tonight just for ease, to keep them in one spot. So not that I feel necessary that I have to, so if somebody doesn't wonder why one person's doing it all. With the Zoom meetings, it's just easier to have one person keep track of everything. So I'm going to move to approve the August 2020 county disbursements in the amount of $16,882,158.69.
Can I have a second? Is there a second?
That second?
Roll call,
Howard, did you
please.
second that? Okay, yeah,
I did.
thank you. Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Baldwin,
Yes.
Commissioner McConnell,
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann. Acting Chair Rushing.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to 11B, and the next four are all grants, so these can be just by roll call. By an aye vote.
I would
11B,
move to approve the 2019 interlocal agreement with Macomb County for the Homeland Security Grant Program in the amount of $286,969.
Support, Dunn.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving to 11C, 2020 Port Security Grant.
I would move to approve the 2020 Port Security Grant Program Agreement in the amount of $24,450 for the dive team.
We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. 11D, the fiscal year 2021 County Veteran Service Fund Grant.
I would make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2021 County Veteran Service Fund Grant application in the amount of $67,318.
Second.
Second?
Heidemann.
Yep, Heidemann, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 11E, fiscal year 2021 Residential Substance Abuse.
I would make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2021 Residential Substance Abuse Treatment Grant application in the amount of $199,813.
It says a 25% match. Is there any discussion?
Oh, I think we need a second. I'll second it.
Okay, Howard, second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 11F, fiscal year 21 Secondary Road Patrol Grant.
I would make a motion to approve the fiscal year 21 Secondary Road Patrol Grant application in the amount of $94,482.
You have a second?
Baldwin, support.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Okay, now we're going to go to 11G, the Airport Zoning Board of Appeals appointment for Garrett.
I would make a motion to appoint Garrett McLean to the Airport Zoning Board of Appeals, General Public, for the remainder of a 3-year term expiring 12/31 of 2021.
Have a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 11H, the Aeronautics Advisory Board reappointments.
I would move to reappoint Robert Bennett, North Representative, and David Corby, West Representative, to the Aeronautics Advisory Board, each for a 3-year term expiring 9/30 of 23.
Second. Heidemann.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. 11I, Conservation District Farm Bill Conservation Technician Proposal.
I would make a motion to contribute $30,000 to the Blue Water Conservation District for the continuance of the Farm Bill Technician position for fiscal year 21 through fiscal year 23.
Done.
Any discussion? From my understanding, this is just a continuation of what we've done in the past.
Correct.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 11J, the Hazard Mitigation Grant Agreement.
I would move to approve the Hazard Mitigation Grant Agreement for a term of 8/2/18 through 8/2/22 in the amount of $22,844.
Baldwin support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Moving on to 11K, Park and Recreation Commission revised bylaws.
I'm going to make a motion for discussion. I move to approve the revised St. Clair County Parks and Rec Commission bylaws.
Support, Dunn.
Any discussion?
When I attended the last meeting at Parks and Rec, there was a lot of concern about the alternate positions. I don't know that we ever really sat down and talked to Mark on this and what it is. We actually, as a commission, would appoint the people that are on the board of the park, and we would then appoint the people that are alternates. So the people that are on as alternates are all long-term people, and they have a lot of energy and a lot of knowledge, and I'm just concerned that if we go in and say we don't want these people there, that we're sending a bad connotation. Now, I also understand with this the new bylaws, that anyone that's on their committees could still be a chair of a committee, whether it be for finance or whether it be, for the people that are in charge of individual parks. There's a lot of different committees in the Parks and Rec department, and they have different subcommittees that run each individual thing, and then they report back to the full board on activities on a monthly basis, whether it's a project that's going on or whether it's just activity usage. And so I'm not in favor of changing this right now. I made the motion. I would not have made the motion normally, but because of the way the motions are being made tonight. But
Mr. Chair, I would move that we table this item.
For that to be happened, and I want to get your input too, Howard, because you sit on that board. Can you give us your input before we take a motion to table this?
I think Greg has brought up a very significant item, and that's that a lot of the alternates are also active on our many other subcommittees of Park and Rec, whether it's finance or Goodles or the Lighthouse or acquisitions. There's about 5 or 6 different committees, and John Cooper has the task of finding people to man all, or I should say, be on all of those committees. And so finding volunteers is never easy, and it does probably send a very negative connotation that alternates who volunteer for these committees, you're not wanted and not needed. I think Greg is bringing up some interesting points. I think we need to think about this some more.
I think my question when it first came up was that it sounds like we have a tremendous number of people who are parts of the Park and Rec Board. And I don't know if they've all been appointed or approved by the Board of Commissioners. We don't know if these people they move into other committees, but it sounds like if you tallied it all up, there are, I don't know, a couple dozen people maybe that make up if you take all of the subcommittees, the alternates, and the Parks Commission, are we over 20 people? Are you closer to 30?
I would say definitely over 20 or 30 people. Because we have volunteers in addition to the alternates.
Right.
For example, Tim Ward serves on the Finance Committee. We just have a lot of volunteers.
Right.
we have 10 members of the park. On the
Right.
park board, they all have an alternate, so that takes us immediately to 20. A lot of those 10 alternates are also chairing other subcommittees and doing other things. So I would think you're very right. we appoint the 10 board members, we appoint the 10 alternates. The people that are in charge of the individual committees, subcommittees, are taken care of by the 10 people that are on the board of the parks. So we don't do that for the subcommittees, that's done by
Sure.
them. So we only appoint the 20, the 10 alternates and the 10 people. And with 10, they need to have 6 for their quorum. And I don't know that there's usually 2 and maybe 3 alternates at every meeting. So, and that gives them close to their 10 people, which is nice because then you get your reports on the subcommittees all the time at the full board meetings. So I'm in favor right now of leaving it where it's at. So I don't know if it needs to be tabled. I have a motion that says we're going to adopt the new commission bylaws. And if we vote it down, then the current ones would stay as they are. I don't know what tabling it's going to do other than we would have the other 2 commissioners here for their input.
I think I'd like a little more information. I thought this all came up because there were people who were appointed as alternates that never came before the board. And so was there some confusion or a time period where people were just,
Here's my
they
input
were
on
not
it.
reappointed and then they showed up as alternates? And is
Right,
it,
here's my, because when people did not get reappointed as regular board members, they have been appointed as alternates. And for whatever reason, not being negative or positive, but there's a reason the county commissioners did not reappoint the person to their normal position on the board. And when that happened, we had alternates that were reappointed by the new board members. And that's where this concern is, because if they're, whatever the reason was, they weren't reappointed, maybe they shouldn't serve on the Park and Rec. So rather than getting rid of all the alternates, maybe, as we go forward and have more discussions, because I'd hate to lose good people, but I also don't think that my initial is if somebody doesn't get reappointed as a regular board member, after they put an application in, they shouldn't be considered potentially for an alternate. And I don't, right now, I'd probably be more in favor of tabling this, get Bill Graytop, and the other commissioner, Jeff Bohm, here to have further discussions. So to have alternates, which they have to come to our board anyways to get reappointed. But I'm not in favor of having an alternate that was already rejected by the board. So without any specific reasons why they didn't get reappointed.
Mr. Chair, just a comment in regards to that. The alternate for a particular position has to be recommended by district they represent. And so if the commissioners in, let's say, District 2, I think District 2 might be Greg and Georgia. If they still support that same alternate, that's their decision, And I guess, I would leave it up to the district, the representative, the commissioners who did the initial appointment of the main commissioner to also have the authority to decide who they want as an alternate. Apparently, these alternates have been recommended by their Board of Commissioners. So I guess I don't have a problem with that.
and then are there some that became alternates but it did not come before the board? And so either way, we have to back up and reappoint some people?
That's, I think, the crux of the problem.
Okay.
These alternates were not appointed by and approved by the Board of Commissioners.
Well, Howard, the actual reading, and Carrie can add to this, the actual reading of the bylaws, the alternates have to be approved by the Board of Commissioners also.
That's correct.
Right. But I think some haven't been recently, right? So
And that's what happened with this, if I could, Georgia, that's what happened with this last position.
Yeah.
And we replaced one of the board members. And then directly after that, that one that was not reappointed got put on as an alternate.
Mhm.
And there was a reason, without specifics, why that person was not reappointed. But now he's still serving on the board and serving in the same position he served before.
Let's see.
He's not a voting member of the board presently.
Unless he's serving as an alternate. right?
Correct.
But-
The alternate is still carrying on as a regular because they have been doing that job.
If they're an alternate, they are, but if they're there as a guest, they're not a voting member.
Right, correct.
Right. So I kind of feel like it sounds like we're going to have to address at a minimum the reappointment of existing alternates who were not approved by the Board of Commissioners, correct?
Correct.
I would say you're absolutely 100% correct, Georgia.
Okay, so some form of this has to come back to us. So in the meantime, do we need, whether it's at committee or a subcommittee to kind of work through the bylaws? Are there other?
Well, I think we have two options tonight, and correct me if I'm wrong. One, we'd need to have Greg withdraw his motion and then have a motion to table this, and this could still be for final action if we chose at our committee meeting at the next meeting when Bill Graytop and Jeff Bohm, and we have a little bit more discussion on this.
Actually, if I may, Greg, you have a motion and it has a second already.
Right.
So you would technically have to amend your motion or vote on the motion that's on the table. And if it fails, right? So not to give you suggestions, but one of your possibilities, Greg, is to amend your motion to table.
I would amend my motion to table.
And I would support that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table the Park and Rec bylaws. And is there any further discussion on this? We have not a roll call vote, just regular vote. Yea or nay? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passed. This is tabled until our next meeting. All right, moving on to 11L, Resolution 20-15, Collective Bargaining Agreement.
I would move to adopt Resolution 2015 ratifying the collective bargaining agreement between St. Clair County and the St. Clair County Corrections Deputies and Professional Employees Teamsters Local Number 214.
Great
Do we have a
top,
second?
second. Great top, second.
Any discussion? I believe we need a roll call on this, don't we, Jay?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Heidemann,
Yes.
Commissioner Baldwin,
Yes.
Commissioner Graytop,
Yes.
Commissioner McConnell,
Yes.
Commissioner Rushing,
Yes.
Peanuts, please.
Commissioner Dunn.
Yes.
Moving on to 11M, Underground Aviation Fuel Farm Tanks Removal.
I would like to award the removal of the underground farm fuel to Environmental Resource Group in the amount of $25,580.
Second,
Done.
Any discussion? Jay, do we need a roll call on this?
Yeah, you should.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Graytop,
Yes.
Commissioner McConnell,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Baldwin,
Yes.
Commissioner Heidemann. Acting Chair Rushing.
Yes. Moving on to 11N, Fiscal Year 2020 Emergency Management Performance Grant.
I would move to approve the fiscal year 2020 Emergency Management Performance Grant Agreement in the amount of $32,071.
Have a second?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. All right, now we'll move on to the administrator's report.
Couple things for you this evening. First of all, an update on our CARES funding. The grant we submitted about 2 months ago for public health, public safety payroll reimbursement, we submitted for about $4 million. And we did receive notice this week that we were awarded 1.9 million, or about 50% of our request. So the requests that everybody submitted were greater than the funds available, so everyone received a prorated amount. We may still be receiving more funds towards this grant request, but right now everyone's receiving 50%. Part of that, we also received $1.4 million in a different pot of CARES funding, and that is the money that the state gave us to replace our revenue sharing payment that they withheld in August. Unfortunately, the CARES funding is restricted in how you can spend it, and it can't be used to replace your lost revenue. So we're working through that process to make sure we are charging only eligible expenses. But all those funds, as it stands, need to be spent by 12/31 of this year, or else we have to return them. The annual actuarial valuation report is scheduled for next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Normally that would take place in the Board of Commissioners room, but due to COVID, it is going to happen via WebEx. I believe Tammy Rumsey did already send an invite out to everyone for that. However, if anybody needs that link, let me know and I will forward it on. I would certainly encourage all of you to attend to get an update on our pension and retiree healthcare funds. Something you may or may not know is nobody filed to fill the surveyor position, the elected surveyor position. So as of January 1st, that position will be vacant. There is a process to go through to appoint a surveyor, and Jay, you can jump in if I have this incorrect. But I believe the appointment comes from the county clerk, the prosecutor, and the senior probate judge is who makes the appointment for the surveyor.
That sounds correct to me.
So at this point in time, once the position is vacated, then we will have to go through that process to appoint a county surveyor. Speaking with Tina Bricker, our Smart 911 system, we signed up for several years ago, and the first 3 or 4 years were paid for by state funds. Well, those state funds have run out, and our Smart 911 does end at 12/31 of this year. We're waiting to see if the state is going to continue to fund it, and if not, working with Central Dispatch to see how much is being used and if it would be a benefit for us to start incurring those costs going forward to keep that service. I believe that's something that it was not brought up at the last Central Dispatch meeting because of that information kind of came in right after, but it will be a topic for discussion at the next one. And last, we do have a formal RFP out for the designated assessor position that needs to be done prior to 12/31 of this year. The link is on our website, and we are accepting applications through October 6th on that. That's all I have this evening.
All right, thank you. Any questions for our administrator? All right, have none. Moving on to miscellaneous business. Do we have any?
Yes, we approved that hazard mitigation grant application, and I don't remember the number right now, but we talked about it today at emergency management meeting. When they had those dams break up in the Bay City area, up in Midland, there was lots of money that got sent out. FEMA paid $26 million so far, and they've given $28.5 million in loans on top of that. And in order to qualify for any of these monies, you have to have a hazard mitigation plan in place. So the county is working on getting one, because right now I think ours is, I don't know if obsolete or outdated or whatever, but we're going to get it done. In lieu of every municipality doing theirs, everybody can kind of piggyback with us. So I know they're contacting everybody. Justin is, to try to get everybody to be aware of what's going on, and when they call for information, they're going to ask them to be willing to provide it so that we can submit a plan for the entire county, so that if we run into some issues and there's some federal money that's available, that at least we would qualify. So that's what that hazard mitigation grant was for.
Yeah, that total cost was $30,457 with 25% match, and the grant actually was for $22,844.
Yep. I knew you'd know those numbers.
All right, do we have any other miscellaneous business?
I'd make a motion to receive and file packets that were sent to commissioners, packets at
Great
their
job.
places,
Second.
and any other information.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Done.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye. We do stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.